for Acosta. It is a spare in the 4th frame. 10 pins separating the two. King Louie Open. Wayne Webb, who won the first 2 matches, defeating Martinez 201 to 176, and then Westberg 187 to 136, is going against Mal Acosta, leading by 10, shooting in the 4th frame with a spare up. Just didn't come up, leaving the 2 and sleeper 8 on the right lane. Here's Webb, who last year was the leading money winner. Most titles won, most points, most games bowled. This year he's won 16,009. If he can win this match and then the match against Marshall Holman, it's another 13. Got them both. And speaking of Marshall Holman, he's with my colleague, Bo Burton.
Thank you, Chris. Marshall, what is happening out there? Are these players just bowling bad, or is the lanes a little too slick for them?
The lanes have definitely tightened up, Bo, but, you know, you got to trust the ball out there. I'm going to go out there and make some good shots, and hopefully I'll make them look easy.
You think the players are just making bad shots on tough lanes?
Not completely bad, but the lanes are tough, and I think they could make a little better shots, but we'll see what happens.
Marshall thinks he can win it by being better, Chris.
Well, as Harry Golden, our tournament director, says, waiting in the wings and tough to beat. Marshall Holman indeed, but Wayne Webb looks strong there with that great pocket hit in the 5th frame. And now Acosta is up, still close, 8 pins, spare working, shooting in the 5th. He won in Cleveland, defeating Holman. Very little facial reaction from this 28-year-old.
This ball cut right through the 5 and the 8. Look at that.
He can take the lead.
Wayne Webb, every time, has sat on the bench and watched his opponent made a mistake. See what Mal Acosta can do. If he can strike, he can take a 2-pin lead.
Rare to see doubles out here today, and here's one in the semifinal game and the lead.
Look at the reaction. Look at those eyes. He knows it's a great shot. But it's just like Marshall Holman said in that interview. He thinks the lanes are tough, but the players have not been making good shots. You have to play good to score good.
And now Wayne can regain it with a strike here. Great match going here. The first 2 were a little slow, low-scoring matches, but now Acosta and Webb.
The very tough Rich Gruber right up there. Giff Lentin, his brother, plays for the Detroit Tigers. Jim is up there. Jeff Morin, who was on our telecast earlier this year, 9th. Matt Serena, steady. Frank Ellenberg, who is working with us all the time. Dave Frame finished 13th.
Look who's 12th.
Wow, another lucky week. Steve Wunderlich from St. Louis, who really looks good. He had a 300 this week. Bruce Carter, a rabbit, who made it up there. Donnie Fowler, our president, George Pappas, steady and tough as usual in 17th. Mike Miller up there. Dave Beckman, he's a powerful and in good shape. Dave Macy is a steady Midwestern player from this tough Midwest. Dan Gezzi, Tom Kohler, and my old buddy Norm Myers, who is the king of the tough Midwestern region in the regional tournaments, 24th.
Double working, shooting in the 7th frame, semifinal game. Great pressure now, put on by both players. And Acosta is up. He has a double working. He'll be shooting in the 7th frame. What a match.
And you had the right word there, match. Scores don't count anything. You just have to defeat your opponent. These are 2 great match game players, and Wayne Webb, when the pressure was applied to him, has come to life.
Have 3 in a row.
The advantage of that outside line. Watch the 6-pin. The left on the right side of your screen, drive right into the 10. Mal Acosta can once again take the lead.
outside and never came up.
Well, that's the problem with that outside line. I believe we have never seen before, I think, on our telecast, the 1-2-4-6-10. Watch how sharp this ball breaks at the back end. Cuts right through, taking the 3-pin out from the 6-10. There's two schools of thought on how to shoot this. A cross lane, like the washout, trying to drive the 1 in the 6-10, or right into the original pocket. Let's see how he tries.
Crossing over. Tough break, hitting the 1-6-10. And
It's amazing how quickly a disastrous open like that can change the match. Wayne Webb is now sitting in the driver's seat. Has 3 in a row working, a 29-pin lead.
a 4-bagger for Wayne Webb, the PBA Player of the Year.
Wayne now has a 39-pin lead, and he can really shut out Malacosta. Malacosta, the best he can do is 218. Webb is working at a 227 pace right now.
And if he keeps it up, his opponent in the final match will be Marshall Holman. After only 4 strikes in each of his first 2 victories, he now has a 5-bagger here, opened with a double.
And you can see that powerful ball. Watch the head pin go to the sideboard and take out the 4, 5, and 7. Tremendous power. And this week we're using 3-pound, 6-ounce, 3-pound, 7-ounce pins, a little heavier than we've seen before, but yet Wayne Webb can still handle them.
3, 6, 10 on the right lane.
It's like my father always said, Chris, you can never battle the characteristic of a lane. The true characteristic of this pair of lanes for right-handed bowlers is inside. Wayne Webb so far has defeated 3 players playing the proper line.
All right. Bo mentioning his father, Nelson Burton Sr., a member of the American Bowling Congress Hall of Fame. And now the son goes in this week.
Well, the whole family's going down there. We should have a great time.
What did your dad say to you, do you think?
I don't know. He probably...
I taught you properly, right?
I imagine.
He'll be proud. Mom will be happy too, right?
You're right. The best Acosta, Chris, can shoot is 197. It's going to be Wayne Webb against Marshall Holman. Marshall Holman never has been Bowler of the Year. He wants that. Wayne Webb is the reigning Bowler of the Year. An interesting thing about Wayne Webb, he won 3 titles last year and never led a tournament. He has a chance to start off this season that way.
All right, so Wayne Webb is on his way to winning his 3rd match here today. Coming up next, Webb against Holman, the Pro Bowlers Tour. We'll continue from Overland Park, Kansas, after this message from one of our sponsors and station identification. This match going against Marshall Holman, the tournament leader. He'll be tough.
And after 6 practice balls, Holman had not yet decided on what he wanted to do. He didn't know whether he wanted to play inside or outside. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Wayne Webb, definitely in the driver's seat, has the inside line on this title. Let's see if he can put away Holman.
Action and the opening strike for Wayne Webb of Tucson. And now from Oregon, Medford, Oregon, Marshall Holman.
He's played the outside line all week. Let's see where he goes. He has the big, powerful hook. Maybe he can overpower the lane.
Leaving a 4, didn't like it. Here's the man that's been in our telecast for the 6th time in 10 weeks. He did not bowl in Peoria.
And the other 3 weeks, he really wasn't in the hunt. It's amazing. When he is in the hunt, he's right near the top. That's the characteristic of Holman, Roth, and Anthony. When they're close, they're tough.
And as he seeks his 3rd title of 1981, he has not been here at the King Louie Lane since 1975.
Chris, Holman has an amazingly great talent. He has the touch that it takes to be #1 in the game. On that particular first shot, he let the big hook break at the back end, but he threw it very slow so it would roll true. He's got a tough job ahead of him, though, playing that outside line.
6-year-old Marshall Holman. In the equine world, a great 3-year-old named Lord Avey, who sustained an injury, and we'll be keeping you informed on just how that Derby hopeful, how he's coming along, and we'll do it on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Webb with a chance to get out to an early 10-pin lead with a strike.
Well, it's the 4-6 for Wayne Webb.
Chris, when you're bowling against a great champion such as a Marshall Holman, and I'm not taking anything against Wayne Webb, it's just a little extra pressure. Both these players are great competitors, but the pressure becomes absolutely supreme when you know you're going against a great player.
So, for Wayne Webb, after a big strike in the first and open frame 28-2, the knowing Wayne, he'll bounce back.
Chris, the same situation happened to me last year. I won the first 3 matches. He kicks the ball return rank and throws him off, but that's just a single spare. The same thing happened to me, Chris, against Ernie Schlegel last year. I won the first 3 matches, and Ernie, playing the outside line, just attacked right away and put me out. Let's see how Wayne Webb comes around.
Wayne Webb, originally from Massachusetts, now bowling out of Tucson, and always from Medford, Oregon, Marshall Holman. And we're getting a re-rack for Marshall. Look at that, 13 titles.
And he's in super shape this year. He's added at least 10 pounds through weightlifting. And Chris, last week at the Millers, he was out of the hunt, but yet I saw him out running 5 miles every day. He wants to be number 1.
One reason why he's the United States Open champion. Well, a 4-8.
Wasn't satisfied with that shot. Very seldom do you ever see Marshall Holman top a ball. He went right over the top of the ball and spun that with no leverage. And when you don't get the good leverage from underneath with the wrist, you don't get the finish.
And Bo, we don't see a 4-8 too often.
No, Marshall Holman with that powerful spin, though, broke down to 2-5.
As you can see, a pesky spare. Open.
This is still match game competition. Holman takes the 4 off the 8. The match is all even through 3 frames.
Pressure of this final game worth 13 to the winner, 7,500 to the runner-up, and it's live coverage from King Louie Lanes. High hit leaving the 3-6 following the open.
As we said before, the inside track seems to be the best. Holman, as great as he's been bowling, and he was fabulous this week, is struggling from the outside line. But with a spare here, the match will still be all even.
Two bowlers that waste very little time. This is the final match. It's all even. Don't go away. Wayne Webb came into the final after 3 wins, now going against the tournament leader, Marshall Holman.
Webb can take a 10-pin lead with a strike here. He has a strike up in the 3rd.
Leaving the 7, Wayne Webb, who finished 4th behind Marshall Holman, who won the Quaker State Open and then the United States Open.
And in these 2 players, you can see the style that's conducive to urethane finishes. The modern bowler against light pins, they throw it very hard with a powerful hook. Wayne Webb, even though he's short, he's extremely strong, has tremendous speed and turn on the ball.
You just joined us. Webb won the first match 201 to Martinez 176. Then against Steve Westberg 187 to 136. And then with a big 245, eliminated Mal Acosta in the semi. One, 2-8.
With all that effort, using all that speed, he just lost it at the bottom of his swing, slid by the head pin.
fifth frame. Marshall Holman is up, leading by 3 as a spare working for Marshall. It'll be the 5th frame.
I know Marshall was thinking while he's sitting down there, should I move inside? Should I gamble? Let's see what Wayne Webb does. So Webb gave him an opening. He's going to stay outside.
The young man who overpowered the field this week by 397 pins in the match game, 20 wins and 4 losses, while Webb was 14-10.
Marshall Holman won more victories in the 24-man finals than anybody else this year. He was 20-4, Chris. The best previous record was by Roy Buckley at the AMF Classic, 19-5.
And now it's a 13-pin lead with the double for Marshall Holman.
And he knows this is a big one to put the pressure on Wayne Webb. Very interesting climax of this tournament. Players have been playing inside all week, outside all week, and that's the way the finale comes down. The inside player against the outside player.
Mark of a winner.
Just like a vacuum sweeper, just sucks him right off. A tremendously powerful ball.
Now he can bring it back to 3 pins with the green ball if he can strike on the left lane. That he does. We're in Overland Park near Kansas City. And Bo, when we visit these cities, it's fun to go to their museums, and I did that while here with director Greg Stock, and KC, like St. Louis, has a great one.
Yes, they do. Marshall Holman leads by 3. As the players say, Marshall's just not catching it all. He has to baby the ball a little bit, or as we say, slow it down, because of the very slick lane surface. And when he throws it wide, it just doesn't come back.
There you can see how much of the approach Marshall uses.
Chris, while we have a moment here, I'd like to wish the best to Pam Lobb, wife of Larry Lobb, our touring pro here, who had open heart surgery last Saturday, and they say she's doing very well. Pam, get well. We want to see you back out here.
Left lane now for Marshall Holman. This is a big strike in this very close final match. 13 to the winner, 7,500 runner-up. Bob Palin, president of the King Louie International, there in the dark suit with the vest.
And his buddy Mike Milans on his right. 2 great guys who've led this corporation a long way. Webb with a chance to take the lead with another strike.
So a 3-10.
If you don't think there's pressure out here, watch these 2 players struggling. Holman losing the ball at the line, laying it short. Wayne Webb squeezing it very tight and hanging up in it, pulling it high, leaving the 3-10. Now, we said that Wayne's increased his spare making percentage. He needs it right here to keep the lead within 4 pins.
Oh, close can you come?
He thought he had it, but he played that outside trajectory, which makes the 3-10 very tough to make. He has opened the door for Holman. Look at this ball, just missing the 3-pin. A game of fractions.
Overhead score sheet that the players and some of the spectators look at. 16 pins separating the 2. And trying for a 9th frame strike to no avail.
He's really opened the door for Holman if he cannot convert this split. The 2, 5, 7, 8. Makes it a little more difficult than the 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 with that 4-pin missing. Studying his proper position on the approach.
this has happened before where they win 3 matches and then get into the final game.
Chris, I did the exact same thing on this pair last year. It's tough to go all the way with 4. The situation for Holman becomes this. He needs 1 mark in the next 2 frames. If he strikes on this ball, he's the champ. It's not over.
No. Because we're looking at the 1, 5, 8, 10.
Here's the situation. If Marshall opens here and opens in the 10th frame, Wayne Webb could get up and throw 2 strikes and win the tournament. Marshall cannot be happy with his performance on the right-hand lane.
Leaving 3.
He cuts his lead to just 12 pins. That also brings in the situation of having to fill at least 19 in the 10th. Look at this. Marshall Holman going at a 181 rate. Wayne Webb 169. Just 12 pins separate these 2 players going into the 10th. Holman with a strike. Could lock it up, though.
Leaving the 3, 6, 10 on the left.
The situation becomes this for Marshall. If he spares, he needs 9 to win. He needs spare and 9.
Big shot, and he asked, double-checked with Frank Esposito and Harry Golden that what he needed. Reaffirmed needs 9 pins to win.
If he gets 8, we have a possibility of a tie. 7, Webb could win.
On his knees. Believe me, he's exhausted, going all week, overwhelming the field, and had a tough match against Wayne Webb, and will be returning to the King Louie West lanes. But first, we're going to pause for this message. All right, Marshall Holman has won his 3rd championship of young 1981 by a score of 181 to 168. Okay, Pro, I know you're happy.
Chris, I'll tell you, I'm very happy. I look better out on the ice rink than I did today bowling. I'm very fortunate. Wayne Webb, he let me off the hook, and I'm just very pleased to win the tournament. And then, you know, I haven't been here since 1975. Kansas City will be seeing me for a long time coming.
They have bowling fans here, and one of the great ones is the president of King Louie International, fellow Purdue man, Bob Palin. He not only has a neat check, but I love that trophy. Bob, how about the presentation? We traveled with the Coleman family from Kansas City to Miami as they went on the road again.